All right, so a couple weeks ago on Kill Tony, they had on Chad Daniels, who I'd never heard of until this episode, but I guess he's supposed to be a comedian. This appearance for him, though, was rough, and the fans didn't like him too much, and he got into it with a few of the other comedians, which was actually pretty funny. Like, right off the bat, he got yelled at by Martin Phillips, who's a regular on the show, and he has cerebral palsy, and usually he can handle jokes about it, but this time, I guess Chad must have struck a nerve with him when he acted surprised that Martin was able to drive, and Martin just started going off on him. So this was a really awkward start for Chad. You know, this is also his first appearance on the show, and he said he wasn't very familiar with it. And you could just tell he was thrown off right in the beginning, and he was pretty much quiet the rest of the show until the end when he got into it with William Montgomery, which got really uncomfortable and almost violent. Like Chad admitted on his podcast afterwards, if the cameras weren't on, he probably would have ended up punching William in the face. So I don't think we'll be seeing Chad on Kill Tony ever again. I mean, he made it sound like this was the worst experience ever. But first, here's him getting into it with Martin, and then him talking about it on his podcast afterwards.
Chad?
You were driving around to shows?
Okay, first of all, go f*** yourself. I fucking hate, no, that's such a, everyone who says that is a fucking piece of shit, because it's like, dude, it's 2024, like, we had self-driving cars. You think, I think a car is okay.
I gotta say, a car's still fucking concerning.
Okay. You wanna take a ride, buddy?
Listen.
I get it. I'm fucking.
I don't want to fight you. I like you. I just asked a fucking yes or no question.
I think it's like a lame-ass question when people ask that.
It's a lame question to ask you if you drive a fucking car?
Yeah, because they're assuming I can't, because I'm crippled. Like,
that's why I asked.
Yeah, but that's like very condescending. Hey.
To be fair, I didn't walk up to you on the street and go, "Hey man, do you drive cars?" You fucking said I was driving around the show.
Which means I drive a car. If I didn't drive a car, I would say somebody was driving. I just don't think it's that big of I'm getting heated tonight. I don't know.
Yeah, you are. You're fired up. I like this.
I just want to make sure I understand what's happening. You were driving, and then he like lost his mind on me. Okay. He's like, "Oh, you motherfucker! You don't think I can drive?" I'm like, "You just had to put your hands in your pocket so they weren't flailing around." So I'm just curious of how. I'm not saying you can't drive. I want to know how it works.
Yeah.
And then he's just real furious with me. Everyone, I think what's happened with this show that I didn't know about is once you become a regular, you kind of have the way that you gain your respect. It's like, and by the way, I'm not comparing myself to the toughest guy in prison, but it really is the thing where it's like you go to the biggest guy in prison and you punch him in the face. Mm-hmm. And then everyone leaves you alone or whatever. So I felt it was a lot of that stuff where I'm like, I'm just asked you a fucking question. Calm down. Because what I wanted to say was a whole bunch of mean shit after that. But then but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to like make fun of someone with cerebral palsy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But so that's how it started.
Great stuff.
And then I just kind of shut my fucking mouth after that. I just kind of sat there and I was like, yeah, nice work. Good going.
So that was a pretty bad start to his first appearance on the show. And like he said, he's pretty much checked out after that until the end when William Montgomery came out. And then he started getting into it with Chad. And since he doesn't know the show at all and doesn't know who William is, he doesn't realize that this is kind of the character that William does. You know, he's doing shtick, which Tony kind of tries to warn him about, but it doesn't help at all. You know, because William's whole thing is being loud and obnoxious and yelling at people and pretending to get in fights, which can be annoying sometimes, but usually people just go along with it and it's fine and doesn't get awkward. But Chad, he isn't having it, and you could tell he's pretty uncomfortable and probably getting annoyed. But I didn't realize how flustered he actually was until he talked about it on his podcast afterwards. And it sounded like he thought William actually wanted to fight and he was ready for him to throw a punch.
Stressed. Chad, have you seen William before?
I haven't.
How are you, Chad?
I'm great.
Cool. What do you do? Are you a comedian or what do you do?
Oh my God, William!
No.
Why do you do that to the guests? That's what I forgot to tell you guys earlier.
It's okay.
I mean, remember when I said I feel like I'm forgetting something? What I forgot to tell you guys was sometimes William takes shot at the guests. to not worry
That
about
wasn't. That really, I swear it
He has a
wasn't.
bad reputation
It's okay.
for it. He's like the... What? William, what are you doing? Are you starting shit over there?
No, I'm not.
Oh, why are you looking Chad up and down
Yeah,
like
he's
that?
sizing me up all
He
of a
is.
sudden.
He's
I
sizing
think I
you
could
up.
kick the shit out.
Whoa,
I think I
whoa,
could
William.
fucking beat your fucking
Do
ass.
not try
Yeah, no, when I ask again. So what are you, a comic or something?
Whoa,
I can
William.
take your fucking ass.
Whoa, William, don't do that. William, don't do that.
And then this guy came out at the end with long red hair and a long red beard. And I was just watching him. And then the next thing I knew, he was yelling in my face where I could see the foam in the corners of his mouth.
For what reason?
I guess that's his thing. Sometimes, like when it's not going well, he'll just go after the guy that's sitting at the end of the table. And I happen to be that guy. But he was like, I could kick your fucking ass. I'll kick your fucking ass right now. And I'm like, just looking at him like, no, you won't. But then I'm also thinking there are cameras pointed at me, and this goes out to so many people.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Because I was kind of waiting for him to punch me. And then after the show, Tony was like, remember when I said I'm forgetting one thing? He goes, that was it. I forgot to tell you that he does that. And then that guy came up to me afterwards, and he was like, hey, man, this is kind of my thing. I go, well, it's not mine. It's not my fucking thing. I don't appreciate getting yelled at. It put me in fight or flight, and yeah, I just didn't know what to do. I wish I would have known that, so I could have just sat back and enjoyed it. But it felt like an actual. It put me in fight or flight, and I was like, I'm telling you this, if there would not have been cameras and there only would have been
A live show.
people that could have told the story,
Mhm.
I definitely would have come out of retirement and put one on his temple.
Do you,
Because like you don't fucking lean over somebody and scream in their face that you're gonna kick their ass. I mean,
Yeah, and I could understand if Chad was annoyed with William and just thought his shtick was hacky, but Chad just sounded so dramatic here. Like he actually believed a fight was about to break out. I mean, he said he's in fight or flight mode, which is hilarious. Like, did he really think Tony brought some guy out to fight him? I mean, how could you take William that seriously? Like, even when he's yelling, he just doesn't seem threatening. He just seems like a goofball. And I think that's probably what most guests think. You know, most guests don't really care. And again, like, I can understand if you're annoyed, but Chad said he was basically about to snap and hit William. Like, he was actually getting really mad about this, which did make it entertaining, you know, especially watching it after hearing him talk about what was going through his head when it happened. Because if you watched the episode and didn't hear him talk about it on his podcast, you know, you could tell things were awkward and there's some tension. But I don't think most people realize that he got this worked up about it. Like, this clearly got to him. I mean, him crying about it right afterwards on his podcast just made things so much worse. Like, somebody recently made a post about it to the Kill Tony subreddit that's getting a bunch of upvotes, and they said Chad Daniels isn't a comedian. How can you call yourself a comedian and then act like such a soft snowflake? You can't even handle somebody messing with you. You're an insecure little man. And a lot of the people in the comments are surprised because when they first watched the episode, they didn't realize it got to Chad this much. Like, somebody said, wow, at the time I thought he was just playing into the bit, but the fact that he's actually pissed off makes it even funnier. And another person said when they first watched it, they just thought it was banter and they didn't think anything of it. But then when they heard Chad talk about it, they thought they misremembered things. And then they went back and watched it and they realized Chad's just being a baby. Especially because towards the end of this, William winks at him like he's just joking around. And then he shakes his hand when he walks off. And then he said afterwards he explained to him that he's doing a bit. But even after all that, I guess Chad still felt insulted by it, so he went on his podcast to cry about it and talk about how William's lucky he didn't get punched in the face.
so I just sat there for a little bit, and at one point his voice got real high, so then I started mimicking his voice,
Love it.
and then he got real mad again, because I was kind of waiting for him to punch me. Yeah, this guy is just like... it just doesn't feel like comedy. It felt like performance art, and no one let me in on the joke. So then I felt like I became the butt of it, and I was not thrilled about that. I think I was real close to coming unhinged, and then I put my mic down in the little holder, and I let it
Sat
ride out
back.
because I was like, okay, now you are letting yourself become the butt of the joke.
Yeah, you're participating in a way that's probably kind of what the guy does. He draws you in, and then you're.
Oh, I'm sure, but here's the thing: he knows he can't get punched in the fucking face. I'm telling you, like this dude needed my forehead in his teeth, like no one has ever needed that before.
Yeah.
Just to let him know, write a joke, dude. Write a joke. You don't just scream at other human beings in their face.
You ever played blackjack before?
Oh, you're talking to Chad, making amends. Here we go.
Yeah. Got a tough guy. You're kind of tough on that one. That's kind of like a tough guy fucking response.
You asked me a question and I answered your question. Tell your fucking story, dude.
What's your...
No.
Yeah, do you see what you just fucking did?
Did
you see
I
what
see
you
what
just
I
fucking
just
did?
did?
Yeah, do you see what you just fucking did?
See what I just fucking did? I know what I just fucking did. I put a worm in your dog shit, bro.
I'm just going to let this storm settle, see what happens here. I kind of like this. I'm going to let this go like...
I mean, it's like I'm joking around and then you start making fun about how I talk. I mean, that seemed kind of... why would you do that?
What?
I was blatantly joking around and then you come at my fucking ass making fun of how I talk. At least I have a distinctive way of talking. You sound like some fucking just idiot when you talk.
Oh, my God.
Sound like
William.
some fucking boring old white dude when you talk,
Oh,
dumbass.
my God. Oh,
I
my
couldn't even do an impression of you, dumbass. 'Cause
William.
there's nothing to do.
William, what did I tell you about turning on guests like
No,
this?
seriously, how would I do an impression? Talk, say something else. You don't sound any kind of way.
Are you guys like old friends or something like that? And I don't know about it. Look at how serious. Oh, he winked at him. There's the wink.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, so that was a wild episode, especially knowing what Chad actually thought about it. And it's funny because he could have easily just not addressed it and everybody would have figured they're just playing around and having fun. But instead, he went on his podcast to cry about it, which is not a good look for a comedian. You know, like this shouldn't have been that serious, but it did make for an eventful episode. And I'll give Chad credit for sticking around the whole time and not walking off, which some other guests have done in the past, like Ric Flair or Donnell Rawlings. That was an embarrassing one because he got roasted so badly he walked off. And then a couple years after it, he went on Rogan's podcast and tried to play it off like he had some dinner reservations to go to, and Tony just edited it to make him look bad. But then Rogan called up Tony, and he basically said that Donnell is full of shit, which was hilarious. And I talked about that on Patreon, and I just cover a lot of Kill Tony drama on there. Almost every week there's something new. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to stay up to date with everything going on with Kill Tony and just get access to over 90 exclusive videos of mine, make sure you go check out the Patreon account. I'll put a link in the description.